Let's bring in here in the studio Beverly Milton-Edwards. She is a senior fellow Middle East Council on Global Affairs. She co-authored a book about Hamas. Really good to have you on the program, Beverly. You met Yahya Sinwar. Tell us a bit about him and how much of a blow his death will be to Hamas, the organization.
Well, I met Yahya Sinwar in Gaza on a number of occasions. It was in the period just after his release in 2011 as part of a prisoner deal for the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. And over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners were released at that time, the most important of which, of course, being Yahya Sinwar. And in the subsequent years that I had occasion to meet him, very much the sort of the myth was met in the man. This was somebody who was incredibly hard, very sort of stringent in his approach, very, very disciplined in how he presented himself and presented his ideas. And he had no problem saying that the object of his hate was Israel and the things that Israel was doing to the Palestinian people. And of course, by that, he meant the continuing occupation.
So how easy is he going to be to replace? I mean, we mentioned there a list of possible replacements, including his brother. Do any of them stand out to you?
Yes, I think all of those names stand out. And we know that following the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in August, that there was already movement within the leadership, and that, of course, included making Sinwar the ultimate leader. So the eventuality has been planned for, and any one of those names, probably Khalil Hayya or probably Khalid Mashal, is likely to assume the top position. But what we also need to bear in mind is that Hamas will probably revert back to a more secretive leadership structure as it did during the First Intifada in the 80s and the early 1990s. And again, there are already intimations that for at least the past year now, there's a shadow leadership, particularly around the Izzedine al-Qassam brigades in Gaza and in other places.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It seems to me like when it comes to possibility of some kind of ceasefire negotiations, it's better, at least from that point of view, to have a Hamas leader who is not in the shadow, who's someone who's on the outside.
To be honest, I don't really think it makes that much of a difference when it comes to ceasefire negotiations. And again, we need to remember that Hamas have been negotiating ceasefires mediated by other parties with Israel since 2002. And at various times, we've known publicly who that person might be or the name of that person, and the work that they're doing is kept secret. Now, Yahya Sinwar was actually instrumental in the ceasefire that was achieved last November, the ceasefire mediated by the US, Egypt and Qatar. So his mantle was already lifted by other leaders in the Hamas organization.
Are you surprised by how and where he was found? We've seen the pictures of him in that house in the middle of the wars of an active war zone in the south, dressed in military combat, engaging with the Israelis. Are you surprised by that?
Me personally, I'm not surprised. Obviously, the Israeli narrative was that he was hiding in a tunnel, he was using Palestinians or hostages as human shields, that he was surrounding his family, that he was a coward, that he'd even fled to Egypt and abandoned the people of Gaza. You know, Sinwar had never made a secret of his desire to live the line, live the faith, live the cause, and to die for the cause. A couple of years ago, he said, actually, I hope that my martyrdom comes at the hand of the Israelis. So in that respect, it's not really a surprise that he literally died with a gun in his hand, resisting Israeli soldiers.
Yeah, that's actually what he wanted, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
really good to get your insights. Beverly Milton-Edwards, Senior Fellow, Middle East Council on Global Affairs.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.